sporting no Puma pants today. He was here for a moment and went off to create mayhem. Anyway, I think that it's a great hobby for some people to make fun of spiritual people. Us, us silly people, new age people who think that we can manifest every single thought and that the thoughts inside of our head actually change reality. And yeah, it's probably great sport for them to make fun of spiritual people. Why would why would somebody make fun of a spiritual person? I wonder if it's because they can't really demonstrate or actually activate an effective, positive, healthy life. That would be one reason. So I think one way to counter that would be to understand that this thought that we can manifest every single thought is really sort of silly. Again, this is all presented for your consideration and to bounce around inside of your own head for your own understanding. But isn't it really a blessing that every single thought that we think is not somehow manifested? If you really considered that, we would live in a chaos of almost unimaginable chaos. By that I mean, just think if every single thought you thought was suddenly manifest. You get a little angry as you're pulling onto the freeway and you think a bad thought about somebody who cut you off, and then a meteor hits their car, and then you think about having a little money difficulty and your bank account empties, and then you think, oh, but I have a ton of money, and then you have a billion gold bars, and then you think, but just imagine if every single thought was manifest, we wouldn't have a stable universe to live in. There's something far more powerful going on than our surface level thinking. And that is a great blessing that every single thought that we think is not manifest. So, which thoughts are manifest? As a man thinketh in his heart, so shall he be. So, one of the phrases I don't use very often in my spiritual talks because it's somewhat vague and amorphous, but the power of our subconscious mind. But we all know that we have one. We all know that our regular waking consciousness is but the peak of an iceberg, and there's this huge subconscious going on below us that is operational, that's monitoring our breath and has great, how shall we say, trains or tracks, TRACTS, great tracks of consciousness or patterns of thought or patterns of perception. It's our subconscious that's been programmed, if you will, those are the thoughts that we're manifesting. And that's a good thing. It gives us a reasonably stable environment to live in. However, if our subconscious is programmed with negative patterns of perception, and of course, we all know what these might be. It could be trauma, it could be fear, it could be anxiety, it could be a host of negative things that have become planted or seeded down in our consciousness. And yet it's those thoughts that are running the show, so to speak. And yet, if it's subconscious, how do we possibly have access to it? How are we ever going to get down to those deeper thoughts that are really running the show? And this is where I think it's possible for someone who's cynical about spirituality to make fun of spiritual people. It's like, yeah, you're just, those little silly thoughts you're thinking inside of your head are going to make a difference. Well, I think there's something very powerful for us to remember. One of my very favorite sayings is like, why do grandkids and grandparents get along so well? They have a common enemy. There's something in between. If our surface level consciousness was on top of our subconsciousness, and this is all we had to affect our subconscious mind, we would be screwed. But there's another side to it, and that is our super consciousness, our God consciousness, the totality of consciousness. I believe everyone on this call is quite sane, and we all realize that whatever our own personal consciousness is, we are not seeing the full picture of things. We're seeing but the smallest fraction, a million millionth of what consciousness there is. So in any given moment, we can appeal both to our present waking moment consciousness and also God consciousness. Our subconsciousness is subsumed and contained within infinite consciousness. This is the power of meditation. In meditation, in the quieting of our waking moment consciousness, we can bypass our subconscious and connect with infinite consciousness. And in that connection between grandkid and grandparent, you might say, there's this glorious opportunity for radical, rapid transformation of our subconsciousness. And this is where our great power lies. We can actually deeply, powerfully influence our subconscious mind. And when good, new, brilliant, truthful thoughts are embedded in our subconscious, then our own reality changes. And this is extraordinarily good news. So you might think today of any problem or negative thinking that might be stuck inside, that you have the resource of your own ability to access it and do your best with prayer. But there's also something infinitely larger than our subconscious that's eminently available in our peace, in our prayer, in our meditation, in our contemplation, that we can influence, and we can get grandparent and grandkid to work together to change our subconscious. Was that too heavy? We'll talk about it tomorrow. Have a great day.